Hello, people. Here we
Good.
are.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Two Tired Teachers. I'm Vinay,
And I'm Rumi.
and we decided that we've not talked to you all in such a very long time that it was time for us to get up off of our keisters and make something happen. So we wanted to come in and just let you know that we hadn't forgotten about you. We have just been handling life. So we're going to pick up where we were the last time we spoke with you. And I believe, if memory serves me correctly, we were talking about what we were expecting to happen in August. So today we want to actually talk about what actually happened. Take it away.
Whatever we were expecting to happen did not happen. If anything, totally the contrary situation.
Yeah.
So we left off with all of the concerns of how we're going to get the social distancing with the kids, how we're going to take care of cleaning, how is that going to be made, the logistics of how we're going to manage virtual kids and face-to-face kids. And boy, we were not prepared.
We were 100% thrown for a loop for the most part. And we're in two different districts on top of that. So both of our experiences were different. We didn't even, we weren't even closely remotely the same in what we ended up actually doing. So in the district where I am, they gave the schools the opportunity to decide in their specific buildings whether they were going to do hybrid, whether they were going to do both virtual. One teacher teach only virtual, one teacher teach face to face. So for our building, the original choice was we were going to have some teachers teach only face to face, and some teachers teach only virtual if they had medical conditions and the district approved of that. Everybody else, self included, we had one face to face class and one virtual class. That's how it all started. I'm not saying that's where we are now, but that's how it started. How about you? How did it start for you?
We didn't have a choice. We had to be hybrid. So my school year started with two groups. One of the groups, 11 face to face, and simultaneously 14 on a virtual call, and the other group with 13 face to face and 12 virtual kids. That's how it started. And we had to teach at the same time the kids in the class and the kids in the virtual meeting. And then somewhere in December, it became pretty noticeable that this is not how it can be managed. So the district gave us the choice of looking at how do we want to do, if we want to have even the kids in the classroom to become virtual, if we want to have specific times in which the virtual kids come in and you work just with them and then they disconnect and then you work with the face-to-face kids, or you can have all of the face-to-face kids in one session and then they switch to the partner teacher and then you have all of the virtual kids in a session. And that's how we have been with my partner since January up until the spring break.
Now, one big difference that my district had that Rumi's district did not have was that I do have a language arts partner, but we were not able to switch kids. We have to switch classrooms. So rather than the kids traveling, the teachers have to travel in our building.
Mm-hmm.
So I teach in the face-to-face class in the morning, and then I pack up my belongings and I go back to my classroom to teach the virtual kids in my room, and she does vice versa. So one thing that I don't think I was prepared for was the expectation that since we had to switch classrooms and we didn't get to stay in our own rooms all day, we were expected to have double, for the most part, everything. So a double set of objectives to put on the board, a double set of anchor charts, one for this room, one for that room. And even in the beginning, when I had the virtual class, which I didn't understand why I needed to have the anchor charts for the room with no children in it, it was still an expectation, because in their minds, they were thinking as kids start to filter in throughout the year, you may have kids in there, so you're going to have to, have a double set of this. So that was one thing that I was unprepared for, and I still am not going to say that I do it really well, especially the objective part, like writing up your objectives on in your room and then having to transfer said objectives to another room while you're in there for that particular block. I think because when we switch over to the other room, basically it's the language arts room, but you're having to share a little space. And because we're open concept, it's not like it's a lot of space in there to share to start with. So with that being a reading room, historically that the reading teachers have a lot of stuff. They have to display books. They have to have all of that stuff going on. So it was not like it was a lot of room for me to come in there and put stuff up. So I have to admit that I did not do that well, or I probably didn't do it as well as they would have wanted, just because it was a fiasco trying to, make sure she has her proper amount of space and then not to feel like I'm infringing upon her space in that room. And same thing in the other room. I can put math and science things up, but I still have to save space for her to put language arts, social studies things up as well. So that was one of the things that I was not prepared for, and I can't say that I liked it, and I can't say that I probably did it as well as I could have. What's another thing that you noticed that happened that maybe you were or were not prepared for?
Oh, starting with the social distancing.
Mm-hmm.
The district where I am, they do have classrooms with, it's not open concept. It's a classroom with the walls and a door. And then when we went in, it was pretty obvious since the beginning that there is no way you can have 6 feet of distance between the 11 kids that I had, and I had colleagues that started with 17 or 16, 17 kids. So that was the pretty obvious thing. We tried, we really did try, but there was the space wise no capacity for doing that. The other thing that we were expecting is to have those separation things, the plexiglass separators. They never arrived. And then with time, we came to appreciate that they never arrived.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of the big things that we noticed immediately, even though because for us, the first 2 weeks, we were completely remote, teachers at home, kids at home. And then the third week, teachers went to the school to prepare for the school. And we were teaching from our classrooms. And I have to admit that it was a lot better than teaching from home. And then by that time, you try your best, but space-wise was absolutely impossible. And once the kids came in, the face-to-face kids came in, it was even more noticeable that there has to be a switch. not just the teachers, but the switch between the kids. The kids went to eat to the cafeteria. There was a space between them. I have to recognize that. And it was disinfected after each grade was there. Um, it became pretty obvious with the amount of kids that actually came back to school that that will not be possible at all. So that's one of the other expectation that we had is that we will have the backup for personal protection, masks and cleaning supplies and things like this. Did not happen. We got one mask from the district. We had a bucket of wipes, which pretty much was done by the first month. And after that, we had to get they had some kind of chemical for cleaning for the kids, and that's what we have been using up until now. Um, Sanitizer, it was provided, don't get me wrong, it was provided, but it was one of those that after using it, your hands get sticky. So the kids were like, no, we don't want to do that. We want to wash our hands. Good thing every single one of our classrooms have a sink. So that kind of made it a lot easier to deal with it. The one expectation that I had was that technology will help and we will be very, very engaging. No, did not happen. What about you?
As far as the social distancing, we didn't try from the beginning. I think our face-to-face class, the first 6 weeks or first 9 weeks we had 19 kids. So we did end up, they give everybody 6 tables. We had to drag in another table, try to put 2 kids at every table, but there was no 6 feet. We did get the plexiglass, which turned out we tried to make sure that we, have the students stay behind the plexiglass, but, at some point, they still wanted us to have A/B conversations. They still wanted us to do small group, that kind of thing. They still wanted kids trying to talk to each other and, having that kind of thing going on. And it was difficult with the plexiglass because the kids can't hear each other. You can't really hear behind the plexiglass. So it was almost more of a bother or a nuisance trying to make sure those things happen. But the kids knew, even if I let you work in a group on the floor, or whatever, because I'm big on if they want to sit on the floor or under whatever, as long as you're getting your work done, they would have to take the plexiglass with them and put it between them and that kind of thing. And then when you talk about technology, because we hadn't gotten to a place where we were one-on-one as of yet, we're still not. How many more days do we have left in school? Okay, I'll just throw it out there. But we're still not one-on-one. So if they had to share technologies, just imagine how, annoying it is if you're the one with the Chromebook, but you have to keep your Chromebook between, behind the plexiglass with you, and then the person that you're trying to share it with is trying to look at your Chromebook through the plexiglass and yada, yada, yada. So that was one of the obstacles that, I had to deal with and try to find a way around it. Many times you would have the kids up, even though they would have the plexiglass in front of them on the floor, they would be up on their knees. And I got it because I'm just like, they can't hear each other. And even when, I did pull kids up to the table because that was an expectation for us to still pull the small groups, and they would have to bring the plexiglass. I even found myself like leaning over so they could hear my voice around the plexiglass because it was too difficult trying to, keep your voice down and them hear you and get what you're saying. And the other thing that I hated about that, because when working in a small group, I'm very used to writing on the table and, pointing to something on your paper or showing you something, showing each individual kid right there in front of their face, and not being able to do that in the way that I normally do it, it threw everything off. So that took some getting used to as well. As far as PPE, they did supply us with, packages of masks for kids if they didn't have one when they came. We had paper towels galore. We had the solution to spray the tables galore. The big jugs, like you were talking about, because I guess all that same stuff came from the state. The big jug of wet wipes and all that kind of thing. And our custodians were very good at checking our supplies every day to make sure that we had it, because every time the students left the room, say we took the class to the restroom, we were responsible for spraying down their tables and all that kind of thing every time they left the classroom. So that was the other thing as far as that spraying the tables down. Thankfully, for the face-to-face class, I only had to deal with that a couple of times a day because I had them in the morning. So take them to large groups, spray the tables down, take them to the restroom and large group basically went together, and take them to lunch. And that was pretty much it for me having to do that until we got to the second 9 weeks and I became hybrid, or third 9 weeks and I became hybrid, because as kids began to come, they got the option after each 9 weeks to show up or not show up. As kids began to come, then I had kids in the room. So my room became the hybrid class, and the switch class was the all face-to-face. So once that happened, that changed that scenario as well.
Times we changed
So
this year.
at the end of the day, I guess all we can say is we just rolled with it. There, it's not like we can change any situations. Do I feel like the students were getting 100% quality instruction? They were getting 100% quality instruction to the best of my ability dealing with the situation that we were in. Because I know that there's a lot of, bless you, a lot of conversation amongst people that are not educators that feel like teachers are just in there half doing whatever it is that we're doing. And even if you're online 100%, there's this conversation that they're not doing enough. And in the situation that we're in, I feel like we're doing 100% of what we can do with the situation that we can have. So my hat, and I clap my hands and applaud all of you teachers out there that are doing the best that you can in the situation that you're in. We know, being on the inside, how hard we're actually working, because I'll say that I feel like we're working more in this situation than we do, without all of this stuff going on. And this is harder. This takes more preparation. This takes, more intentionality than when we are in a regular situation with all this extra stuff on top of it. We're working harder. We're stressing more than, during regular times. So I have to say that, I'm hoping next year when school starts, in August, that we'll be able to be back to, kind of more of what we're used to doing without a lot of the stipulations.
I am hoping. So first thing that we saw, and it's completely different of what we expected, and I think probably this is the biggest difference, and I'm speaking specifically for where I am right now. We thought that by the second week, the schools will be burning with COVID. That did not happen. I have not had, I know specifically for just 2 kids in my classroom, they reported having the antibodies. We didn't see anything. If you ask me if they were sick, I will tell you no. No symptoms, nothing, absolutely nothing. So that part was very interesting. And it's the same situation up until we went to the spring break. And my assumption was by the second week, we will be burning. That part did not happen. So Was it because we were very careful with our masks and our cleaning and everything? Was it because, as they say, it's a completely different situation with the kids and how the kids go through it? I would not know to say that. But the expectation that we will have a lot of sick people and a lot of sick kids did not happen in my particular school. And it's the same thing with this with the district. I'm not going to say that there is no cases, that's impossible, but it was not what was talked about or expected to be, especially with the kids.
And in my case, in my particular building, it was sort of the opposite.
See?
So even up until, we're on spring break right now, even up until last week, we were still getting the email that there's, somebody that's tested positive. We get a generic email every time they have to send, no matter how many people they have to send home, you get just one generic email that says somebody has tested positive. So we've had it like at first, the first few weeks or so, it didn't happen. And then all of a sudden, it was just like every other day we were getting an email, and at one point we had a whole class of kindergartners that had to go home. At one point we had two second grade classes that had to go home. And then, 15 fifth graders had to go home. So it worked the opposite in our building. Now, in my specific classes, with the classes that I have, we only ended up with, I think, 3 kids out of the 19 that ended up having to go into quarantine.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I guess it's just where you are in the city.
It's possible. I can tell you, it's absolutely possible.
How it worked with each school, because some other schools have some worse horror stories than what I thought we were dealing with. I've talked to a couple of people who they thought they really had it bad, and at some point the administrators had to step in and teach classes because they had so many teachers out, and so forth and so on. So I think it was regional, but we didn't know what to expect. So like she said, it didn't turn out the way that we thought it was going to turn out, but it still wasn't idea.
No. I mean, that's not it was just the expectation. That's what was in specifically in my head. It was like, no, it's going to just go through the school and burn out everybody, and that thing did not happen. It really did not happen. Even between the teachers, we did have cases. I'm not going to say not because we did have cases. But considering the amount of cases versus how many people staff it's in the building, it's pretty much minimal. It is what I can't explain it. I don't have idea why or how, or you can attribute a lot of stuff and a lot of things, but it was my expectation. It just did not happen. It did not happen. The other thing that did not happen that was very interesting, in the beginning of the year, we were told that the parents will choose even the kids are face-to-face or virtual. And then each 9 weeks, they will have to, if they want to change their option, it will be at the end of the 9 weeks. That did not happen. That was pretty much the parent will call and tomorrow we are virtual, or my kid that is virtual is coming back. That part did not happen. It's completely out of, it was pretty much decision day by day by the parents.
Oh, wow. In our states, you had to wait till the end of the...
Yeah, no, with us was no waiting. If they want to come back, they come back. If the kid was face-to-face and then the parent decided to go to a vacation in another country, yes, that happened. A lot. The kid will be virtual for the time that they're somewhere in another country on vacations. And then when they come back, they come back. Yeah. So in that situation, I'm absolutely grateful that we didn't have that many cases.
Yeah.
And once again, no idea why. Zero idea why. And I'm going to touch the one big difference of what I expected and what we talked and what we heard of everybody was that it's a very difficult year, which it was, it still is. And we knew that a lot of the things, nobody will know how it's going to work exactly. And the big theme of the school year will be grace, grace for everybody, grace for the kids, grace for the teachers. That did not happen. No. No. Let's be honest, that did not happen.
Oh
It
my
is
God.
absolutely beyond me. I mean, my district specifically, the amount of testing for the kids, it's absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. I have never seen that much of a testing. Then the other thing that was this grace for teachers, because we're trying, we need to figure out what we're doing and everything else. The amount of extra work, the amount of extra papers, the amount of extra color-coded things that we had to do. I am going to say it straightforward. By October, I was completely burned out. And the interesting was that we had a session, a planning session, in which every single one of the teachers in my grade literally broke down because we couldn't do it anymore. There was no sleeping, there was no eating, there was no hours that you didn't work or try to or whatever. It was absolutely crazy. And the interesting thing is when you still say I'm tired and I don't know how and I don't have the time, and it's that big deal of it's my family against what my kids in the classroom and all of this paper, and you have to recognize that it's paper version for the kids in school, but then you have to go and figure out what do you do for the virtual kids, because we were hybrid. It had to happen the same things simultaneously, one in paper and one in some kind of a digital version. And oh my God, all of the little papers that we had to fill and everything, that's a part of looking at the work of the kids. And after that session, we kind of realized that the burnout was not when you still saying it and you still trying to convey it's too much, it's beyond too much. It's when you come to the point of, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'll do it. Whatever I can do it. And they can say whatever they want to say and they can write me up whatever they want to write me up. I just don't have it in me to do it because you don't have it anymore. I have never seen something like that in teachers.
Yeah.
Usually you're on the way where you're sacrificing everything, family time, your weekends, because surprise, surprise, teachers plan and do a lot of stuff on the weekends. This time it was absolutely impossible. I went through 3 different grades of classes from August to December because of the amount of time I had to look at digital work for the kids.
Yeah.
It was just absolutely beyond. It gets to the point where it's like, okay, whatever. And this is, I saw it in another teacher, especially with my grade level colleagues. It was absolutely painful to see them realizing that it's impossible. The feeling of I'm not reaching everybody, the feeling that I can't help everybody if the kid is not even coming to the virtual thing. I can't be responsible for that because I'm calling parents, I'm looking at that, and the kid is not even there. And yet you are held responsible for that. And there's no way of doing it. So that it was painful to watch that burning out and that realization of, if I keep caring about it, it's going to affect my body, my health. It's already affecting my family, and that quiet coming to, okay, whatever,
Yeah.
which is very painful to teachers, and you know that it's very painful to teachers. Teachers don't do that.
So I want to switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit about curriculum, because this was another thing that, you know, gave a lot, or not gave, well, gave and is still giving a lot of teachers issues, especially if you've taught for a while.
Mm-hmm.
We're used to teaching one way.
Mm-hmm.
That one way generally or usually does not always translate virtually.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of teachers were having issues because the kids were not engaged virtually, because we were still trying to teach it the way we would if they were face to face. And that's a big reality that many teachers have had to deal with, the fact that you cannot teach virtually the same way that you teach face to face. It just is not going to work for all of the kids.
No.
Now, your higher level kids that are going to get it anyway, they'll be fine. They'll probably be bored, but they'll be fine. But when you're dealing with the majority of your kids who are already behind or at a lower level, they're not on grade level to start with, if you're trying to teach them the same way that you would if they were in your face, it does not translate well. And I think that was a big issue for many, or is a big issue for many teachers, excuse me, who have taught for a while, is to reconcile that you just can't teach it the same way, excuse me. So how you feel about that?
Well, it's not something, you know, and we have talked about it. I don't have a problem with that. I'm good with technology. I like using the technology. For me, was virtually majority of the things were you just get the answer. You don't see how the kids get to the answer. So if it's a problem and you're presenting it virtually, you have, okay, well, I'll do a Google slide with the drop things and drag and drop or whatever it is, or form or whatever it is. So you don't see the whole process. For me, it was very important to find a digital platform where the kids will literally be able to write so I can see their process. Then I switched from I want you to give me the numerical answer to explain to me how you got to there. So I had to find a digital platform where they could do the videos, and I had to find a way where they can use document camera without having a document camera. And then I had to find a platform where I can have a check-in immediately. So if they're watching my video, or they're watching a video that I have been chosen, there is going to be stop and answering a question and then continue and answering a question, or a platform where they can answer immediately and everybody can see, and it has to be engaging.
So I'm going to stop you right there, and I'm going to insert this, because this is why many teachers are having issues. So the whole time I'm listening to you, you're saying, I had to find a platform. Yeah. I had to find a platform. Yes. I had to find a platform. Mm-hmm. And all of us are not about to be doing that, because like you said from the beginning, you're into the technology. So those teachers that are not comfortable with the technology, because they're comfortable with being face to face and doing it that way, they're not going to take the time, or they don't even, some of them don't even have the wherewithal to know what to even look for as far as a platform for this or a platform for that or a platform for this. That you just opened up a whole can of worms. So that's adding to the stress level of a lot of teachers who are not able to make that transition of how to present their curriculum via technology, because you're saying you had to find all that stuff.
Yes.
So, and I'm thinking about in my district, first of all, we started the year on a whole brand new platform.
Mm-hmm.
They took us away from Google Classroom and they moved us into something else. So just starting the year, we didn't really, in my opinion, that's my disclaimer, in my opinion, we were not trained thoroughly enough to jump into a virtual situation on this platform. Secondly, with this platform, Rumi uses the same platform in her district. We didn't get all of the bells and whistles that they have in this platform. So when we use it, we were having to direct the students to click all these different places, and it was not on the one main platform. So literally a kid just trying to do an assignment or follow the lesson that we're trying to have them to do could have up 6 tabs. And then they're trying to figure out why, why is it running slow? Why are they not able to open it? Yada, 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 yada. Because you have 16 tabs up, because you just came out of language arts, and now I'm telling you to get this for math. So you got to open up 6 more for this and 6 more for science. And, if kids don't have all the wherewithal, and you're saying close some of those tabs, but leave these 2 open, or open up another tab and then click this. And it didn't work seamlessly, which frustrated a lot of teachers, self included. That's number one. And then number 2, the way our stuff was set up, some of our curriculum was set up, if the kids were not on a school Chromebook and they were on their own personal situations, everything wouldn't open for them. If the district created it and they didn't put it in a way that could be shared with anybody, then the kids couldn't see it. And then there were some things that they put in for digital lessons that the students couldn't type on them. All you could do was just open it up and look at it, and they still had to write on regular pencil and paper, and we had to have them upload a picture, which sucks because it sucks. So we had a lot of issues like that. I think our biggest issue, number 1, was them having to click 15 different places to, do what you needed them to do for a specific lesson. That's number 1. And then trying to grade it, because ours was not set up to a grading system. So if they submitted something back to us on the platform, I literally have to go through each one and try to see the picture, or if it's a drop and drag, I still have to go through it and grade it. So it wasn't convenient. So we're like polar opposites. I'm like a polar opposite from you. You loved it. And I think in the last video, we showed some of the nice little things that you made. I didn't get to use a single solitary one of them because I had too many kids who had technology issues. I mean, I had kids at home who were working on desktops.
Yeah, well, I had the same thing.
So, parents are coming into Zoom saying, well, they can't open this. And I'm saying, are you signed in with your student login? Yes, I'm signed in with your student login. Are you, and we're going through all these things. And then some parents didn't know their own technology. So I'm saying, okay, I don't do Apple, so I can't help you with a MacBook. I can't tell you how to turn anything on. I can't tell you how to if your camera's not, I can't tell you these things. So we were dealing with those kind of things. I think one of our biggest complaints in our team meeting in my building was that we were spending too much time trying to walk kids through their technology at home, when we were like troubleshooting, and we were basically guessing, because if you didn't have the school Chromebook, which I have directions for that, I can't really tell you how to work your personal device. And parents didn't understand why we couldn't tell them, I can't tell you how to turn on the camera on your device because it isn't the one that I have. And I can tell you about what I think you might need to do, but past that, you have to get the directions for your own device. So we had a lot of those kind of issues, the platform issues, and you have teachers that are scared of that kind of stuff. They're not going to go look for it, you know, and ours just wasn't convenient. And if you're not willing to change your style in order to fit the way that you have to teach, that's always going to be a problem. Do I think it was a good thing to have kids sitting on a computer for 8 hours from 8 to 4? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. They should have been allowed to do your, I'm going to do my mini lesson. We're going to do some examples together, and then you're going to go away and do independent. Now, I'll be here if you have a question. Just pop in. We can ask the question. You know, I can work with a small group during that time. But there is no reason why we have to be trying to talk to them all day. So for my entire first block, you know, while I'm on the computer, I'm supposed to be talking to you that entire time. I don't even want to be on the computer like that. I don't want somebody talking to me like that.
Okay, so let's rewind a little bit about that because I get
3 minutes. 3 minutes. 3.
So one thing that I learned is this. Once you're on a virtual platform, whatever it is and wherever it is, nothing starts or ends on the same time. As you can control the technology at home or the speed of internet at home or how many other kids are connected at home on the same internet router, okay? So I learned that pretty much almost immediately because it's like you're in the 15 minutes and everybody's waiting and you have one kid that is like, it's still loading. I can't do anything, it's still loading. Now, my thing is completely different because I know how your district works. They're set up straightforward that this is the curriculum and this is what I'm sending you. It doesn't happen in my district, okay? My district curriculum department has their curriculum and we are invited to follow it. But if you decide to put your stuff on it, yes, we're yet to receive one digital version of anything that the district has sent. One, okay? Everything refers to a book that we don't have. So I had to figure out doing it everything, and there is where you get to look at. Now, at this point of my stand, and probably this was the big awakening. If you're a teacher that you still claim, I am not comfortable with technology, you seriously have to consider taking classes.
Yes.
Seriously. Because this year showed us that technology is here to stay. Yes. If you didn't realize that and didn't use it at least a little bit and kind of looking around and everything to learn how it's done, this year literally show you that it's here, it's going to be used, and it's going to be used massively. So if you're still saying I'm not comfortable, then you have to have the initiative to start learning, okay? So for me was that whole thing, okay, so I have this, I don't have a specific curriculum department that is sending me virtual activities. I have to figure it out, so I have to do it. I have to redo it. I have to learn the platforms, and yes, I did it by myself, but it's the same driving thing is I need to find a way to reach every single one of my kids. Now, I did took time, and maybe because I do know how it works with technology and how technology is spread on the different softwares, because I used technology before that. So I took time in the first 2 weeks. It was pretty much me telling the kids how to get the specific times, the places, okay? And it's, if I didn't have the video ready to go for that, then it's pretty much, okay, share your screen. And for me, it was like, move to the left, move to the right, click on this, click on that, you know. So I will straightforward tell them what to do and how to do. Now, our platform in the beginning of the year, the platform was so overwhelmed because I think that the developers of the platform did not expect the influx of people. Probably nobody expected that. But somewhere, the beginning was horrible. That platform crashed every single time that you can imagine. Seriously. But somewhere in the middle of September, they figure out. So the platform is working very nicely and very smoothly. So for my kids, they can pretty much get on the platform and it displays, I have everything organized by days, and then just go and click and it takes them to, because it's completely links that they have to do. They learn how to, it's not that complicated anymore, but I took the time to show them how. The higher kids, there was times that I was like, how did you do that? Show me, you know, because they usually know how to, and then I will take specific time to show in the other ones. Now, where it becomes a lot, it's exactly what I said in the beginning. You start figuring out different platforms. So suddenly using 10 different platforms for different things until you get to the one that actually is doing it. You're not going to find a platform that is doing everything for you, but the one that is doing majority of what you need the platform for. So right now I'm down to 3 big platforms that I'm using for everything, and each one of those can be connected immediately to our platform that the district is using.
Right.
But going around and learning it, yes, it was me. It was me, but I pretty much didn't have a choice. It's either I'm doing that or I have 8 hours of sitting under the document camera, because you can't even turn it to the whiteboard because you're stuck in that situation. And with time, it becomes a big, the energy that you put in everything and everything. So remember, it was, I have to look at 26 kids online and their work, and then I have to turn my attention of 25 in the classroom and whatever paper they have. Plus, remember, we were not allowed to touch the papers for 3 days. And for me, it was like, I need to see it immediately, because what I'm doing, yeah, I have to tell the kid immediately what they're doing right or wrong, or whatever it is, correct, incorrect. So even for the kids in the classroom, the online platforms became useful for me to look at how they're doing through the process. Now, yes, I get it and I understand, and you know perfectly well the times that I call you that I can't anymore. I just can't anymore. I don't have the strength anymore to go through all of these platforms, even though I love the part. But either you doing it and you're learning, and at this point was like, I did not even complain about they didn't give us enough training, okay? Because truth to be told, majority of the districts in the curriculum, they didn't even know how many platforms are outside to give you a training and to have people that actually master the platforms. So all of this said, as of right now, the district, it's the idea in the district, and we learned this year that there's a lot of ideas. You will see if it happens, okay? If we still have virtual learners next year, they will go to what it's called the virtual academy, and they will not belong to the campuses anymore. It's like moving to a virtual school.
Which that's interesting within itself. So yeah. I think we're gonna let it go right there, because we've gone over our time. So I think in the next video that we do, we'll talk about some ways that you have to change your style or your manner of teaching so that you're able to uh, be able to handle the face-to-face versus the virtual, because you just can't teach the virtual kids like you would a face-to-face.
No, you
We'll
can.
talk about that a little bit in the next video. So for now, we're going to go ahead and sign off. Thank you for listening. And
Yeah, Renee's gone. Aw. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.